Friends in the Corner podcast. Stories and topics from around the state of Kentucky. Hey, it's Dan Pauley, and welcome back into Friends in the Corner podcast. Stories and topics from around the state of Kentucky. And guys, we're coming with you today with probably the most important interview that I have done in the history of this show. I am very excited because we're about to have on my fiancée, Catherine Watwood. Yes, if you guys saw last month, the most important and most significant development in the show's history took place when I proposed to Catherine and asked her to become my wife. And so we're going to have her on the show today to talk a little bit about our relationship, talk a little bit about what happened with our engagement, and tell you guys a little bit of update with our wedding plans as they stand right now. So definitely going to be a fun, exciting show, and very excited to have Catherine on here. Before we jump in, though, we got some other exciting news to talk to you guys about. On August 8th, we're going to be releasing an episode, and it is our 1-year anniversary for Friends in the Corner podcast. Yes, Friends in the Corner podcast turns 1, and we've got some amazing news to tell you about the future of the show on that episode. We're also going to be listening to a few highlights from some of the past interviews we've done with the likes of DJ Otis Badass, Rye Davis, BBN Chalk Talk, Mirage, Oblivion Bar, Screenplay, and a few others. We'll also have some clips from our previous episode to the Not So Professional Bourbon Review thrown in there as well. So it's going to be a great little memorial to the past year of Friends in the Corner podcast. If you want to keep up to date with everything happening in that episode, be sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FITC Podcast. That's FITC Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on all listening platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. You can also find us now on CastBox and Overcast as well. So listen to us on all theirs. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if available. But let's go ahead and get into the episode here. So I guess it goes without saying that the last month of my life has been pretty busy. I proposed to Catherine at the end of June, and then this month, past July, we've been slowly planning our wedding together, getting the venue taken care of, getting a few other details in motion, and also just jotting out our future together. And it's been a stressful but fun process, and I really wanted to bring Catherine onto the show just to talk a little bit about our relationship, talk about how we met, and talk to you guys a little bit about where things are at right now for us. I know I've mentioned Catherine on the show here before, referred to as my girlfriend, but now I want to tell you guys just a little bit more about how we met and where we're going from here. So I think it's a good episode. I had a lot of fun recording this with Catherine. I hope you guys have a good time listening to it. So I say let's quit dilling around and let's jump right in. Ladies and gentlemen, my fiancée, my bride, Catherine Watwood. Here we go. Important guest I've ever had on my show is sitting right in front of me here. I just happen to be marrying her. How's it going, Catherine? Yeah.
I thought I could do your intro for you. Was it good?
I'm going to splice that out, put that at the start of the episode instead of my normal music. So it's just going to be Catherine. The things you do for love, guys. The things you do. So.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a music teacher, so my opinion is very valid.
Well, Catherine, I would say that this is your debut episode on our podcast, but it's actually the second time you've been on the show. For those of you who have listened, are longtime listeners of Friends in the Corner podcast, you may have heard Catherine's voice on one of our Not So Professional Bourbon Reviews, the Weller edition. How'd you do on that episode, Catherine?
Okay, so Dan had like 5 of his friends on that episode, and
she actually... go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was trying not to dominate the conversation, and it ended up being like all of Dan's friends talking about bourbon, like, oh yeah, bourbon is good, and occasionally I would be like, meep. So it wasn't great.
But you did come up with the great idea for the Save a Star thing, the Mario Party.
That didn't help me though, because
it helped Isaac win.
I was supposed to win.
But since then, you've actually become quite the bourbon enthusiast, though. We're sitting here drinking some Weller right now. I've gotten her into Weller. She drinks her bourbon neat. That's how you know you've found the right woman, is when she can drink a bourbon neat.
You know, I'd really just rather drink it neat. I've never been a big fan of cold drinks. Like, I drink water room temperature too. Like, I just don't like the way it goes down, man.
What about the Castle and Key gin and tonic?
Well, I feel like that's different. There are like two categories of drinks. There's like refreshing drinks, and there's just I'm drinking this drinks. And refreshing drinks, I want a little ice in them. A little ice.
Gotcha.
And like lemonade falls in that category. Like room temperature lemonade would be weird, and margaritas.
Well, Catherine, I'm happy to have you on the show here, and I guess this is the time where I normally ask my guest to tell them a little bit about us. So can you tell us, my listeners, a little about who you are?
Oh, I feel like I'm in a job interview.
It's a show.
If I fail, we're not getting married.
This is the ultimate test right now. We're seeing if this is going to last the days of time.
Okay. Well, I am from Southern Kentucky. I know Dan's guests are usually from Lexington, or they do business in Lexington, so that's a little unusual. I grew up in Franklin, which is right outside of Bowling Green, and I was a really odd kid. I watched a lot of anime, and when I got into high school, I was the weird flute kid. Everybody wants to be the weird flute kid. But anyways, I was a music ed major in college, and I got my graduate degree down in Alabama in music education too. And I moved up here to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky to teach the children of Anderson County. They're pretty great. I teach elementary music, so that's my life story. I'm sticking to it.
And I guess starting off with how we met, since we're going to be going, I guess, into a little bit of our relationship here. A lot of people meet their significant others at church or at the bar, somewhere. We met somewhere in between. we met on Tinder, and we're cool for talking about that.
Did you script that joke for the show?
No, I literally just made that up.
That was good.
Is it like that? Yeah,
I did.
I swiped right, and she swiped right, and then everything was just all right.
Like when you say Tinder, like you think sketchy, but it was actually very wholesome. Like, Dan and we swiped on Tinder, and we tried to get together one or two times, but the weather was really terrible. It was like January when we started seeing each other, right?
Dead of winter, and like snow was just coming down whenever it wanted to. So the joys of Kentucky is, especially around Lexington, if you get like even a quarter inch of snow, everyone loses their damn mind.
Hey, well, I didn't want to drive to Lexington.
No, I'm not talking about you. Like, it does get bad. And then not just the fact that it snows, but no one knows how to actually drive in snow.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah. I think, like, one of the times we were supposed to go on a date, my parents had come up to Lexington, and we were at the Fayette Mall, and I was texting Dan, like, hey, I think I'm going to be done in, like, an hour. But then we almost got in a wreck on the way back to Lawrenceburg, and I was like, no, I think I'm going to tell my parents they should spend the night. Sorry. Did you think I was lying? Yes, you almost said yes.
Well, no, I don't know if it was saying... I was giving it the benefit of the doubt because I was like, okay, this girl is really cute in her pictures. I'm like, I got nothing else going for me right now. So I just a smile and nod until she says, it's not happening. I'm going to keep pushing. That's my mentality. So
that's the spirit.
Yeah. So then the next day I drove up to Lawrenceburg, and we got at dinner at the second best Mexican restaurant in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah. Well, I was really surprised because usually, men aren't willing to do anything. And I was like, oh man, he must be really nice if he's willing to drive out to boring town, USA.
Lawrenceburg.
Sorry, Lawrenceburg. I love you.
Then the only other time I came to Lawrenceburg was to tour Four Roses. and I got lost on the way to Four Roses. So I wasn't quite well versed enough, but I was like, this brunette's pretty cute, so I need to make my best with it.
Well, disclaimer, it's really not that bad, but it's not the kind of place where you go if you like the nightlife.
Yeah, it's a cute small town. They do a lot of cool like little street fairs and stuff. They got the Burgoo Fest, which Catherine's is very well versed with. They got Bigfoot Fest now.
Yes, Wild Man.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I gotta thank. I thanked him about a year ago, but DJ Otis Badass for tweeting about it, and that's how we're figuring out about the street fair. So we just walked around in it, and this past year is actually better than the year before, I thought. So yeah.
Can I tell your viewers about the Wild Man 5K?
Yes, please do. Yes.
Okay, so some like small town charm from Lawrenceburg. Hashtag Elberg. I signed up for the Wild Man Days 5K. Occasionally I like to run 5Ks. And the description said, you're going to be chased by a wild man through the woods. Scary. And this 5K got a lot of hype. Like, I saw people talking about it on Reddit, and I was like, oh, shit, like, I got to sign up for this. Oh, Kit Kat.
Oh, yeah. Another thing, I know we're jumping around stories here. We have a cat now, and you might hear her meow every once in a while because she jumps up on the counters, and she's not supposed to. So, at some point during the podcast, we're going to talk about Kit Kat because it's inevitable that this is a thing that we do. But Catherine signed up for this 5K to be chased by a wild man.
Yeah. And it was getting a lot of hype on Reddit. And I was really excited for it. So it was in the middle of June. And as we all know, in the middle of June in Kentucky, it's just terrible. So I showed up for this 5K at like 8 in the morning. And I was like, bro, where's my t-shirt?
Did you not get a t-shirt?
No, I didn't.
Wow. Okay. You never run.
It said on the website, if you sign up, you get a t-shirt.
The only reason you run crap like that is to get a free t-shirt.
I know, right? Like, I need something to sleep in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really, it was fine, but I was a little disappointed.
And well, then the wild man that was chasing you, he wasn't actually chasing you. The dude was
so like when we started the thing, Dan and I had talked previously, and I was like, Dan, there's no way that this guy in like a Chewbacca costume.
Well, because the night before the 5K, we were walking around the event, and we saw this heavier set gentleman in a gorilla suit.
It was somewhere between like a gorilla and Chewbacca.
Yeah, and he was riding around on a golf cart, and we just kind of eventually came to the conclusion this is the guy that's going to be running this race tomorrow. And I said, I don't think he's running anywhere. And I think he sat in the golf cart and drove around.
He did, yes. Yeah. Okay, so we started the race, and he was just in a golf cart, and he drove ahead of us and like high-fived us halfway through the race, and then I never saw him again. Oh my God. And it was ungodly hot.
If you are looking for something to do next summer, next June, come up to Wild Man Fest in Lawrenceburg. It is a hoot and a half, baby. So
it was actually really fun.
Yeah, and Otis helps a lot with it. So if you guys listen to the DJ Otis Badass episode, come out here. He brought PTW Wrestling out here. I tried to get Catherine to go to the wrestling event, but she wasn't about that.
Didn't we have something going on that night?
Yeah, I had to work.
Oh, yeah. But I tried to get Catherine to go to that, but I couldn't go to that.
Yeah, I just wanted you to go to it for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Lawrenceburg is really where we met. And I met this girl. We went out to this Mexican restaurant in Lawrenceburg. And, maybe I'm giving too much away. I got to save stuff for my speech for the wedding. But I was like, I hope this girl works. She seems pretty cute. We've had good text conversations and stuff like that. And as soon as I saw her open the door to the Mexican restaurant, I saw her smile. I was like, damn. I was like,
wait, didn't I get to the Mexican restaurant before you?
No, I was there first.
Oh, yeah, you were. That's right.
Yeah. So then we sat in the booth and ate dinner. And I asked her on another date, and she said yes. And our next date was to Star Wars.
That was a wonderful date. You know, we hadn't known each other very long, but that's That's one of my favorite dates of ours to date. It was great.
So, yeah, I had a good time too. I was excited because I think it was right before Christmas break. Yeah, or right before Christmas, and you were going home, and it was literally the day before. So, took you to Star Wars, and we went and walked around the summit in Lexington.
Yeah, and that was my first exposure to Dan's true nature. We went into the Starbucks in the summit, and this is just some random Starbucks in Lexington. And we went up to the cashier, and Dan was like, "Oh, hey, brother, what's up?"
Yeah, it was a dude I went to seminary school with when that was still a thing.
Okay, but Dan knows everybody in Lexington. It's uncanny. Like, I think the guy even gave us our coffee for free. Dan has never met a stranger.
So then I got a third date after that.
Well, Dan bought me roses on our second date too.
Oh yeah,
that was prime move.
That was a Christmas present to her. I was like, I really like you.
Dan's pouring another bourbon. I'm probably going to do the same, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this has been built on. Your first episode was the not so professional bourbon review, and now we're sitting here drinking bourbon, drinking some Wella.
Well, the difference is, we drank good bourbon for the bourbon review, right? Or did we drink bad bourbon? What was the premise of that episode?
We were doing Weller. We did a Weller review, so we actually did
all the Wellers. Yeah,
so we did Special Reserve, Antique 107. 12, and then we threw in a bottle of Buffalo Trace just for some
Buffalo Trace products.
Yeah. Buffalo is just easy because Buffalo has a large variety. But yeah, she was not on the cheap bourbon review. Mm-hmm. I do have to give some credit. I forgot about this. I got to give some credit to Mr. Travis Bauman, who's been on the show before. So Travis is the one who's helped me seal the deal here with my lovely wife.
Wait, what?
My lovely bride.
No, I wasn't confused about that. I don't know what you're talking about. Have you ever told me this?
Yeah, I've told you this before, and you remember. You'll trust me. You'll know it when I say it. So
you want me to stop talking?
I was messaging.
So you can tell your story.
Yes. This is what it's like to get married, guys. You know? So, I was messaging Catherine still on Tinder. We probably messaged for a good week or so while we were on Tinder. And I was ready to kind of just ask for her number. I felt like it was getting to the point. It's like, we've gone a few days talking. It's like, maybe it's time to get her number. There's got to be a cute and clever way to do it. So I'm literally sitting on the couch with Travis Bauman. And Travis says, "Oh, you know what you should do? Write this." And he said, on a scale of 9 zeros to a scale of 9 nines, what are the odds I get your number? And within literally a couple minutes, she said, "I think it's pretty good." And then she gave me her phone number, and I can thank Mr. Travis. How smooth was that? When you saw that text, what was going through your mind?
Well, it's Tinder, so there are a lot of one-liners.
But that was the best, right?
Well, it was great.
Okay.
So, it really was great.
Okay.
But,
well,
I want to emphasize that wasn't really the thing I liked about you.
Okay.
The thing I liked about you was that you seemed really nice.
Oh. Even on text messages. So. So then we had our third date, and that's when I finally asked her to be my girlfriend. And we made it official. We hung, and we made it out through an entire year together. Gotten to do some cool stuff. Went to Chattanooga on an awesome trip. Went to St. Louis on an awesome trip.
We've done some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Before I started Castle and Key, when I had weekends free.
Shady.
Yeah.
Well, Chattanooga was actually a pretty interesting trip. We got to visit a cave of wonders.
Oh, gosh. So if anyone's ever visited Chattanooga before, you've probably seen the advertisements going down the highway because they're all over the place. It says
Sea Rock City!
Sea Rock City. And we decided to Sea Rock City. And we went to it. And, it's weird because there's really beautiful spots because it gives you this nice overview of Chattanooga. I think it's on the Georgia side. It's not really technically in Chattanooga. But you see the entire city of Chattanooga. But then you can go into these caves that are in that mountain, and inside those caves are the most evil looking dolls. It's a fairy tale place, so they've got Cinderella, and they've got Snow White.
Yeah, and they're basically like dioramas.
Yeah.
They're acting out fairy tales, but they're like painted with glow in the dark paint.
Yeah.
And the cave is pitch black, and it takes you at least 20 minutes to walk through it.
And this isn't like Disneyland type of style stuff. This is like really weird, old looking stuff.
Yeah, they're from the 1930s.
Yeah, they were from the 1930s. There's a little video that tells you when they were installed. I'm like, how do you think this was a good idea at the time? Like,
they installed them when the devil put them in that cave.
Yeah, it was. It's tormented. If you look, you should look it up or go see Rock City if you really want to see this stuff. Chattanooga's great though. Chattanooga's a fun town. So I guess Kit Kat is laying on her belly. So I guess that's one of the big things that's happened in our relationship since we got started here. You want to talk about Kit Kat?
Yeah. Kit Kat. So Dan's best friend is named Evan.
Evan's been on the show, before. So Evan Dradsdale, he's been on So Here's the Story and the Not So Professional Bourbon Review.
Yeah, and Evan's wife Caitlin found a cat outside of their apartment. And how does the story go?
So what happened was, me and Evan were broing out one night. We were smoking cigars, drinking some bourbon like we normally do because we're cool. And I'm sitting there smoking my cigar with him, and I see this calico cat show up to the front of his porch, just standing there. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And he's like, oh, that's our cat. And I was like, Evan, I never knew you had a cat. And he's like, yeah, we keep it outside. And he starts kind of talking to me, like we go back and forth on just some conversation. And he said, yeah, we're actually trying to get rid of him because he's fighting our dog. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, cool. You're trying to get rid of a cat. That's fine. Next day, we go to the coffee shop that Evan works at, and his wife Caitlin's there just hanging out. And we start talking to Caitlin for a little bit. And the conversation comes up about the cat they're trying to get rid of. And that turns into, I think, Catherine, you brought up that you were wanting to get a cat before. Like, you were talking about buying one at some point.
Well, what happened was the day before, Dan had said, hey, Evan's got a cat. He doesn't like the cat. He's trying to get rid of the cat.
No, I thought
that... So I, subtly brought up at the coffee shop, hey, I want a cat.
Oh, that's what happened?
Yeah, maybe.
I thought you talked about wanting to get a cat, and then... but I
was just yammering. I talked about getting a dog, too, for a while.
Well, next thing we know, after that day, I think it was maybe another day or two later, we went and picked up Kit Kat from Evan and Caitlin's house. And we've had this little furball fun in our life now. So she is the best/worst thing in our lives at the moment.
Yeah, Kit Kat, she's really, really cute.
Right now, she's adorable.
Yeah, she's laying on her back, showing us her belly, staring at us.
Yeah, she's excited to whirl. But literally, there's a scar on my hand right now from where she bit the crap out of me the other day. So she has moments.
Yeah, she's really bad. She's definitely the worst behaved cat that I've ever had. Our family's always been cat people. But Kit Kat, she has my brother, the way he put it was, she has complicated rules for a cat.
That's the best way to describe her.
Yeah. If you do something to make her mad, she'll express her displeasure by biting your foot really hard and then running away.
Gosh. So, yeah, Kit Kat's part of our family now. Kit Kat's going to be a Pauley, too.
Oh, she's a little baby. She's so cute.
There was a talk about having her be the flower girl. I brought up the idea. We were going to have Kit Kat be the flower girl, and we were going to have Rick, the distillery cat at Castle and Key, be our ring bearer. So watch them walk down the aisle together. They would murder each other, but it would be fascinating at the same time.
Yeah, and Kit Kat, cats are finicky. They don't like change, but Kit Kat is especially afraid of change. She would have been terrified.
No, she would have hated it. Yeah, she would. Yeah, and she wouldn't have liked it. Nor do I think we're allowed to have pets in the wedding.
Really?
I'd assume so.
Oh shoot, we may have to find a different flower girl then.
Oh well, if anybody's got a young toddler, they want to.
Dan, we can't solicit people for their children on the internet.
Yeah, I guess not. So, so we're at this point now. It's been about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half since we've been dating, and I think it was about within like first 6 or 8 months where I realized like, hey, this is the girl I'm going to be marrying.
Really? You said it was the moment you saw me.
Yeah, it was. So the moment I saw her, I knew this was the girl I was going to marry. So eventually it all led up to the proposal that I gave to her a few weeks ago. And shockingly, she said yes to me. So let's talk about our engagement here. So let's talk about our engagement party and stuff like that. So from your side, how did the day of events go for you?
Okay. So, before we start, I would like for everyone to know that in addition to being like the friendliest and the nicest person ever, Dan is also the most meticulous planner of all time.
That is true.
Yeah, like when we went to Naples, I gave him so much crap because he made like a folder with Post-it notes in it and like papers that were copies of all of our travel documents.
I had our flights, I had our car rental, and basically, if I needed to pick a fight with someone about how we were getting screwed over for our service, I was gonna win. That was the end goal.
Yes, he did a good job. It helped us out with the car rental, but Dan's meticulous planning came in handy for our engagement because he planned this like party for all of our friends. He even sent all of them like MapQuest directions. And man, like I'm a teacher and I would never have it together that much.
So what it was I think, oh man, I've been planning the engagement for a while, but I think back in April when I was like, all right, it's time to get it going. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I should say first, I think sometime earlier in the year, I was talking to Catherine about engagement. It was just a conversation. And I asked her, like, so if you had a timeline for like when you want to get engaged, when would that look like? And she said, sooner than later.
Oh yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, so that's sped my timeline up very fast.
Well, I guess I should have communicated that better. I didn't want...
The message was clear.
Okay, I was afraid that you were going to wait like 2 years because I have friends whose like boyfriends just like won't propose to them. Shade. And I didn't want to do that. Shade.
So back in April, and I was like, you know what, it's time. So I was trying to get the energy to go to a ring shop and find a ring. My family has a jeweler back in our hometown of Ohio that I guess I could have used, but I just never go up to Ohio anymore, so I needed to find someone here. Mm-hmm. I went to a jeweler. So one of the cool things about her ring is the diamond in the middle is actually the diamond that was used in my mom's wedding ring when she was married to my dad, and they gave it to me to give him the ring. Very sweet. I went to the first jeweler in town in Lexington, and I've heard horror stories about jewelers in Lexington. And the guy I told him I have a ring. I would like to use this diamond. He said, "You won't find anyone in town that will take that offer."
You didn't tell me about that, Dan.
Well, this guy was a dick. But he was like, I was telling him I'd like to get the diamond placed and just buy the band. He's like, "No, I won't do that, and you won't find anyone else in town that'll do that." I was like, "Really?" And it's like, I've heard otherwise. So eventually, I went to Rivard's, and it's owned by a gentleman named Brandon Rivard, and I think some of his other family have owned it. But Brandon helped me out there. He's from Lexington. He grew up in Lexington. So if you guys are looking to get any type of jewelry, please go check out Rivard's. They're not paying me to say that. They are actually just really, really cool guys. And I looked at 10 or 15 different rings, told them about my situation with the diamond. They were awesome, and they took care of me. So got my diamond from there. Go check out Brandon Rivard. I can't emphasize that highly enough. And then I bought it in May, and then in June I finally got it and was starting to plan out the process.
I would like to tell everyone that I didn't know this at the time. And, I'm really surprised Dan managed to pull a sneaky on me because he's not a very good liar, which I actually think is a great quality. But apparently he would take it like everywhere. And when I went to the bathroom or something, he would show our friends and be like, I'm going to propose to Catherine.
I had a picture on my phone and stuff like that. So when I had the picture of the ring, I told my friends at work first. And shout out to Alex Blotnick, my colleague, because I don't think anyone at work was more excited than her. And Alex is great. She's my boss. I appreciate you, Coach. You do great stuff. So what happened was we went back to Bowling Green for some time, and I wanted to ask her family for a blessing, and they gave it to me. But we ran into all our friends. So when Catherine would like go to the bathroom or like get away for a minute, I'd show them the picture of the ring and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And they would all be like, oh my God, it's happening now. It's going down. But yeah, they would be excited. And eventually what I did was I planned for the end of the year, end of the month, end of June. And I messaged everyone on Facebook that I could possibly think of that was friends with Catherine or people that
Were you about to call me Kathleen Key?
No.
Yes, you were.
No, I was not. Everyone that meant the world to Catherine, I wanted to message and just encourage them, like, hey, if you guys can make it to Lexington that night, it'd be great. And like, I was kind of shocked because like I was inviting like one of her best friends lives in Alabama, and she made it up, and I was like, holy hell. And like a bunch of other friends like came in from Bowling Green and stuff. And my brother came down from Dayton, and it was just exciting to like see all these people wanting to be a part of the big day. Now, what the original plan was, and it didn't quite go as smoothly as I wanted it to. My plan was that we were going to go eat at Tony's Steak and Seafood in Lexington. Really good restaurant. They're kind of, I don't know if they're a chain, but they've got multiple locations in the bigger cities around here. So I made a reservation for there, and I did it under the guise of I won this award from Castle and Key for giving the best tours, and they gave me a $100 Tony's gift card. What really happened was the day before we went out there, I bought a $100 gift card, and I presented it as like, can you believe it? Like, I can't believe they gave me this award for being the best tour guide ever.
And like, I really thought Dan had won this gift card, and I was like, oh, cool. But then Dan was like, do you want to see the gift card? And I was like, yeah. So he handed it to me.
And the damn receipt with my name on it is sitting in the middle of the thing. So I just like quickly like pull it off.
Oh, yeah. Well, and at that point, when Dan was like, oop, let me get that back, I was like,
Suspicions. And so we were going to eat at Tony's, and then we were going to walk across the street, because where Tony's is, right across the street is a park in downtown Lexington called Triangle Park, and is right next to Rep Arena. There's these fountains out there that are beautiful, and I was going to propose to her in front of these fountains and have all of our friends and family out there to celebrate. Well, the same night I wanted to do this proposal, Pride Fest was going on in downtown Lexington, and Lexington has one of the biggest Pride Fests in the state of Kentucky, and that's not the issue. I don't care about anything.
Dan likes gay people.
Yeah, I like gay people. Yeah, But what it was what I found out. I didn't know till later that day, because I thought Pride Fest is happening down by the courthouse, ain't gonna impact us at all. What we found out that night is that apparently in Triangle Park is where they'll do the weddings for the couples that show up to Pride Fest that night, like all day. That's an all day deal. So I'm like, I can't go propose here because I'm interfering with someone else's wedding. So yeah, we couldn't go to Triangle Park. That got pulled out right away. So that night I had to throw an audible, and everyone was coming from out of town. So I just said, all right, let's go do it in my backyard of my house. That'll be the easiest option for us. Everybody we lined up. So we went and ate at Tony's Steak and Seafood downtown, but I had probably another hour to kill. So
the food was really good.
Really good. Go to Tony's and try their stuff. We started walking around. I told her, like, hey, I didn't tell her we had an hour to kill, but I was like, let's go check out some of the stuff. So we went and walked around Pride Fest, and Pride Fest is actually kind of cool. I'd go down to it. We ran into two guys that I gave a tour to at Castle and Key that day. And I told these guys on my tour, yeah, I'm proposing to my girlfriend tonight. And they're like, whoa, that's crazy, man. That's exciting and awesome. I ran into these same guys in the middle of Pride Fest. And they were like going to bars and stuff because I suggested to them like 3 bars they needed to check out in downtown Lexington. They're like, yeah, we're going to go do it. And sure as they did.
Well, to be fair, Dan told like everybody except me that he was going to propose to me.
Yeah. There's no secret. So we show up and we run into them and I go say hi to them. And they're like, what's up, man? How you doing? And then they see Catherine. They're like, there's the lucky lady. Like, they think I already did it. And they're like, and I'm like, I'm behind Catherine giving like that. No, I didn't do it yet. Hang on. Like, oh, yeah. It's like, it's cool, man. It's like, and so like, they thankfully they saved the surprise. But I was like, that was a close call. So then I'll let you take it from there where we go from here.
Oh, okay. Well, Dan thinks that really wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't notice at all, which may have just been me being oblivious.
I don't remember their names, but there's 2 cool guys from Cleveland.
Maybe they'll listen to this. And
shout out. Yeah. Cheers to Cleveland. Go Browns.
Yes. Hey, if you listen to this podcast, tweet at Friends in the Corner Podcast.
And you can say how you were there that night. We got engaged.
But anyways, so Dan and we had been at Pride Fest and we were walking back and it was pretty clear to me at this point what was going on. And I was really excited, but I was really nervous. And Dan was really nervous too, I think, right?
Yeah, I was trying to get this done. Well, I didn't want the surprise to be ruined.
Yeah. Dan was like, well, we were going back to the car. And that was a plan. Like, we were headed that direction. And Dan, like, checked his watch. And then he was like, hey, let's go to the art museum.
Yeah, we went in the 21C because I needed to kill just a few more minutes. So we walked around.
And we literally just, like, went down to the bathroom. And then we left.
Yeah.
And I was like...
one of her best friends from back home was texting me, like, are you guys coming or not? So,
and Dan was being like really weird about his phone for like a month before we got engaged. Like, he would take it with him anytime he left the room.
I got a weird question to ask you. I don't think we ever talked about this. So,
live on Friends in the Corner podcast.
So we got into the car and we're driving back to the house. And I was getting text messages from Amy and my phone syncs up to my car. Did you ever see my text from Amy pop up on my front screen of my car?
Oh, actually, no.
Really? I'm very surprised about that because I was thinking about that. I was getting texts as soon as you got in the car and the car was started. And I was like, I need to stop that because like the text messages pop up in full view on my dashboard. So,
well, I think I was okay. There, one of 2 things happened. Either my brain thought it was my car and was like, oh, Amy's texting me because Amy and I text all the time. Or I was just like so nervous I didn't notice at all.
Because you knew it was happening?
I had no idea you invited all these people. I never caught on to that like at all.
What did you think was going to happen that night?
So actually, I really had no idea. Like when you were like, oh, let's go to Tony's. I was like, oh my gosh, I legit thought you got that gift card from Castle and Key. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you seriously taking me to dinner with a gift card you got from Castle and Key on the night of our engagement? That's so lame.
Oh, you thought I just paired the 2 together.
I would have been really mad. Like, secretly. Like, that's so cheap. I kind of, okay, I knew you were going to do something super romantic, and I legitimately had no idea what was going to happen. Like, I thought we might go down to Castle and Key or go to somewhere where we'd had one of our first dates. I didn't know, so.
Back to the Mexican restaurant.
Honestly, I kind of halfway thought so.
But what we did instead was we went back to my house. We got to the house, and the first thing I said was, hey, so I don't know if you know this, but I didn't actually win an award at Castle and Key. And you said, I know.
Well, I've been laughing before that. And you were like, what's so funny? And I was like, I don't know.
It was very awkward and very apparent what the hell was going on. And then do you want to tell what happened from here?
Oh, well, it was, we were sitting in Dan's car and he was like, it wasn't actually a gift card. And I was like, yeah. And we went out into his backyard and all these people were standing there, and I saw my sister and my friend Madeline right away because Madeline is like really like blonde and she's just like hard to miss in a crowd, you know. And my sister is my sister, and it was weird she was there. I was like, ah! And I just kept seeing like all of our friends like
she screamed. I was trying to have this romantic moment. I was like, Catherine Watwood, and all I hear was ah!
You had already started proposing to me at that point?
Yeah, I was getting ready to do it, but then like I wanted you to have the shock of it all. You're like, oh my god, you're here.
Well, my sister, she's so full of crap. Like that morning, I'd had like a 35-minute conversation with her on the phone, and she was like, yeah, I'm just gonna mow my lawn, and then I think Nathan and I are just gonna hang out. We're gonna try and relax today because I don't have graduate school. And I had been texting my friend Madeline, shout out Madeline Cook, real MVP, and I was like, hey, I think Dan's gonna propose to me, and she was like, but what if he doesn't? She's so full of crap too. She knew exactly what was going on.
So everyone that came down, I was like, I couldn't have been more happy about it. So it was all her friends, who I wanted there more than anything. Madeline, who we were talking about, she was coming from Alabama. Some friends of her were in town. My brother and his wife came down from Dayton. My stepsister came down from Dayton. Just a bunch of other people were coming in town for this, and we had a really cool group of people together. And I think it was really magical for both of us. I would say. I think it's probably one of the most memorable things that's ever happened to me is being surrounded by everybody. And
well, it better, Dan.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. It was magical.
It was magical. There's a video up there. Maybe I'll put some audio in here. I don't know just yet. But it was a great night. And then we just partied all night. Now we're engaged and getting ready to be married. She's going to be a Pauley, unfortunately.
I'm actually very excited for that.
Yeah. What's the thing you're most excited about being a Pauley?
Well, it's a good name for an elementary school teacher.
You think so? I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Well, you know, right now my name is Mrs. Watwood, and
But you go by Miss Cat.
Yeah, but if I went by Mrs. Watwood, it would be terrible. Like, kids can't remember that, but Pauley is great. Like, it rolls off the tongue. But I'm just kidding, by the way. That's not the best part about it.
Are you going to go by Miss Cat still when you get married, or are you going to go by Mrs. Pauley at the school? To be determined?
Yeah, I still got to think about it. I may transition to Mrs. Pauley. It might be confusing for the kids for a while, but, you know, it'll be fine. But seriously, though, like, I'm not excited for you because of the cool name. I'm excited because I love you, and can't wait to spend our lives together.
I love you, too.
You're my favorite person.
Yeah. I
can't believe I met someone like you.
I can't believe it either on Tinder. So there's a couple things we can take away from this episode tonight. The first one is Tinder works. You can meet good people on Tinder. It's not just a hookup app. Look at us. And the second thing, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I did know as soon as I met you that I was going to marry you. Because I never had a connection like that with anybody else. And I don't talk about this too often. I don't want to keep up too much time on the show. But I was single for a very long time before I met Catherine. And it went through like a lot of different seasons where I was like, I'm never going to meet someone. Or like, I would get rejected or something, stuff like that. And I eventually, like, when I finally met Catherine, I accepted the point where I was like, if I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, great. If I meet the person that's going to change my world, that's even better. And thank God I met the person that changed my world. And I cannot be more thankful for it. So now we're getting married June 27th, 2020. It's happening. At the Griffin Gate Hotel. Come and join us if you're invited.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about our search for a wedding venue?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we got time for that. So
okay.
Oh
so I would like to emphasize that looking for a wedding venue is really hard and time consuming. It will take forever. Oh my gosh.
In Lexington. I think most people spread it out within a week or so. We did 8 venues in 2 days. We were dedicated to trying to find a venue that week.
Well, the reason why we did that was because I had to go down to Bowling Green to teach at a band camp, and I have to start teaching school right after I get done with band camp. So, like, we had to get that done.
And we ran the gauntlet on venues around Lexington. So
we saw the full range of experience for a wedding.
We saw the best place you could possibly get for a wedding venue. And then we saw the worst possible place you could get for a wedding venue. and there is a lot in between those two spots. But some of the stuff, because like I thought it was kind of funny that we made these appointments with certain places, but like we eventually just told ourselves, why don't we just show up some places we didn't think about? And the final, like I'd say 3 that we chose, maybe 2 or 3, were places we just showed up at. We didn't plan on actually like going to. We just like walked in one day, we're wanting to get married, and they're like, here's our coordinator. So,
it's funny. One of those places, Dan actually had a near-death experience.
We went to a venue at a barn. And
it was actually very beautiful.
Yeah, it was really pretty. But I walked in to look at one of the windows, and I almost stepped on a rat snake.
So, yeah, we hadn't made an appointment. And Dan and I, we were just doing the Watwood thing and going up to the window.
Showing up and seeing how it works.
And just like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Seeing if anyone's home.
Yeah, not eavesdropping, but loitering.
Loitering, yeah, we loitered, yeah.
So we were looking through the windows, and Dan was like, oh, shit, and he jumps back.
There's a carpenter snake right by where my foot was. And I think I startled it more than it startled me. Mm-hmm. But I was like, all right. But then we toured it. It actually probably became the number 2 spot. We were about to sign there before the Griffin Gate.
Yeah.
And Griffin Gate was one of those other ones. Like, we didn't make an appointment. We just literally showed up.
And well, because we just like assumed that Griffin Gate would be way too expensive.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I can say, you can probably say too, we thought Griffin Gate was going to be out of our price range. Yeah.
Well, we were mainly just going there
for fun. Well, our family's been there. They love it. All my family has stayed there at one point.
And Dan's mom loves the Griffin Gate.
Yeah. She was stoked when we told her we were getting married at the Griffin Gate. So.
Yeah, and we're stoked too. The Griffin Gate is like pimping.
It's a beautiful hotel. It's a Marriott hotel in the middle of Lexington. A bunch of UK football opponent players will stay there before games and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and it's got this beautiful resort type of feel. It's on a golf course. Like, I'm pretty excited. Like, we toured it, and I think both of our hearts were pretty set on it when we toured it. And eventually, after we crunched the numbers, it became like the most affordable option we had out of all the options. So
did a lot of math.
Yeah, like I said, we saw 8 different venues.
And when we saw the venues, we saw the real range of the wedding experience. We saw the worst and the best.
Yeah, we did. And
Dan, you should tell them about the worst.
Okay. So
an anonymous venue.
Yeah, I don't want to name the name, but so the worst venue we saw was very affordable. Like, if we wanted to get it, we probably could. Honestly, it probably would have been our cheapest option, but you get what you pay for. So it's this old historical house in Lexington. Okay, and listen, I need to tell the story. You can't have Kit Kat meowing the entire time.
Sorry.
So it was this old historical house in Lexington, and I thought we would be getting the house for the wedding venue. Like, we'd be able to go inside it, use maybe parts of it for the wedding, maybe use parts of it for the reception. You're not allowed in the house at all. You get to use the barn that's down the road from it. And the barn, I asked, like, how many people do you think you can fit? Because we're thinking about around 180, 200 people. 170 at the most. But, yeah, we're a pretty big party. And they said, yeah, we can fit 200 in here, no problem. They opened up the door, and within, like, a foot of moving the door, it got caught. And this lady who, like, was with us was not the most, like, socially aware person, I guess to say. So she was pushing it up, and she's like, it's plenty of room. It's plenty of room. We open it up, and all of their golf carts and John Deere equipment that they use to take care of the property is inside this venue space. And this is where they want us to host the reception.
And, like, it was maybe the size of the entire square foot of my apartment.
Right, yeah. And not big enough for 200 people at all. And I start looking around, like, and we're trying to make the best of it because we don't want it to sound like we think it sucks. It's like, oh, wow, this looks great. In the reality, it looks like hell. And then she says, yeah, we just hosted a wedding reception here the other day. I feel the bar where that we would be serving the alcohol, and it's covered in this gunk and this dust that hasn't been cleaned in, like, I would say almost a month. I was like, you did not host a wedding here.
And Dan, like, hates dirty things. Like,
yeah.
He has zero tolerance for it. I wish I could show you the look on his face when he did that.
Yeah, I was like, I know you're lying to me. So they started talking to us about how we would have to set the tables and set up trails and stuff, which is fine. We looked at another venue we were almost considering doing that for. But it just seemed like a lot of work for not a whole lot we were getting back in return. And then, like, after, like, we saw this area, she said, oh, by the way, let's show you the bridal suite. And I was like, okay, well, cool. There's a bridal suite. And I was like, is there a groom suite too? Is there, like, a room we can get ready in? She's like, no, we just have the bridal suite.
And what was the bridal suite, Dan?
So I still don't want to give too much away on this property, but it was a former slave quarters. Hey, so it was a former slave quarters that they converted into this bridal suite. And what the lady told us was, oh, yeah, there's plenty of room. And when we opened up the door, we saw that there was not enough room for everybody, especially because we've got a pretty large bridal party. So I was like, and then she's like, oh, yeah, there's a mini fridge down there on the floor. Yeah, it's like, it's like, this is terrible. It's like, this ain't going to work for anything. So we walked away. She's like, okay. She had trouble locking the door while we were leaving. She's like, yeah, well, let us know if you have any questions. We hope you choose us. And we're walking away, and we're like, let's not have our wedding here.
And kind of in juxtaposition, there was another wedding venue we looked at that was the total opposite.
Absolutely. So the best venue we looked at, the gardens in this venue were designed by John Karloftis. Mm-hmm. John Karloftis is the same guy who designed a number of other beautiful gardens in Lexington, all across the world, and he designed the gardens at Castle and Key. So I knew as soon as I heard, oh yeah, John Karloftis is connected to this venue, our price point skyrocketed.
And the beauty of it was just unreal. Oh my gosh. Like, outside it looked like some average, like, city street, but you could hear the fountains outside, and it was literally like the secret garden. And it was just crazy.
Yeah, it
like,
was.
The bridal suite was in a wine cellar, and it was huge, and there was a TV, and there was so much space upstairs.
It was insane. It was probably, not just as a wedding venue, but it was probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And it might be, honestly, the most beautiful place I've ever seen in Lexington.
Then we sat down and went over the prices, and we were like, no, bro.
We can't afford this. So those two got knocked off the list pretty quickly. I think some ones we can mention because we didn't choose them, but they're fantastic for anyone that's wanting to get married in Lexington. Carrick House is awesome.
Oh, Carrick House was amazing. You know, we almost went with Carrick House.
Yeah, we were close. Round Barn was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Morgan Hunt House. Not the most over-the-top venue compared to Carrick House, and they're literally, like, right next to each other. But Morgan Hunt House is awesome. If you're looking to host an event, they are wonderful people. And shout out to Sheila, who runs it, because she was awesome. If we could just hire her for something, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and the space was very affordable. It was very, very beautiful. We loved it. It just wasn't quite what we were looking for. Right.
And then Campbell's House, too. Campbell's House is one of the older hotels in Lexington. We met a gentleman, Jason Thompson, who's their catering sales gentleman. He was amazing to us. Like, he made sure we were taken care of. He saw us twice in the same day. We probably much were looking at doing Campbell's House before we settled on Griffin Gate. We were almost like getting ready to sign the dotted line on it. So,
yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and it's amazing. If you're in Lexington, you should stay there. It's a Hilton hotel. It's pretty close to campus. I can't say enough good things about it. So, but eventually we just settled on Griffin Gate because we came down to it was the best option we had, that we thought we were getting the most for our buck, and we both really like it. It's a great hotel, and it's a great venue space. So that's what we're doing, June 27th, 2020. And I can't be more excited for what the future looks like for us here. You, me, and Kit Kat.
How excited are you to have Kit Kat in your home?
I can take her or leave it, but but look
at her. She's such a little baby.
She still bit me. Evan Drysdale, if you want your cat back, you're more than welcome to take her.
No, Dan.
Okay. Sorry, we won't go there. But Catherine, I want to say thank you for coming on. This has been one of the best interviews I've done for the show. And tell my listeners where they can find you at.
Oh, well, I'm not like one of Dan's conventional guests, but I am a flute teacher, and I seriously would like some flute students. So look up Catherine Watwood Flute on Facebook to read about my various achievements. Or you can just look me up on Facebook or Twitter. I'm so funny.
At Catty Flute, is that your Twitter handle?
Oh, I don't know. Is that it?
So it's Kate. It's at CATE _flute, FLUTE. So that's at CATE _flute, FLUTE. And that's how you can find Catherine on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah. Go follow her. And,
yeah, sure. Follow me.
And while you're at it, follow Friends in the Corner podcast, stories and topics from around the state of Kentucky. We're at FITC Podcast. That's FITC Podcast on all social media platforms. And also, you can email the show at friendsinthecorner@gmail.com. That's Friends in the Corner, all together lowercase, @gmail.com.
Dun-na, dun-na, dun-na.
Well, Catherine, I want to say thank you for coming on again. Tell you, why don't we sing out my theme song together? Are you ready? That's my bride, everybody. I want to thank Catherine for coming on to the show and sharing a little bit of our story on the podcast for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did have a good time listening, be sure to leave us a review on your podcast listening platform. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, CastBox, Overcast, you name it, we're probably on it. And be sure to follow us on social media at FITC Podcast. That's FITC Podcast. And check us out next week as we get ready for the 1-year anniversary show of Friends in the Corner podcast. Guys, June 27, 2020 can't come fast enough. I'm counting down the days. But I hope you guys are counting down for the next episode. We'll see you next week. That's a wrap.